Welcome
Oh,
to episode 7 of the Year of the Fire Horse. New moon in Leo, complete with solar eclipse. I think it's 4 planets in Leo, a lot of this leonine energy of visibility, shining bright, honor your power.
I feel like a lioness. Rawr.
You are. You totally
And
are.
yeah, lots of things have moved and happened, and we're super excited to, yeah, share so much with you in this episode around loneliness, around existential kink, making reference to the tragic suicide of Carolyn. Um, Desires, needs, expression of those, staying silent, and conflict versus harmony. And yeah, bringing it all into the perspective of this new moon and the eclipse and how, yeah, we can work with those favorable energies
Yeah,
coming up. Mm-hmm.
totally. Thanks for that summary, Kaya. And we're entering a 2 week corridor right now till the next moon eclipse that's gonna happen in the full moon. I think the date is the 27th um, of this month because the eclipse is joining the solar and the lunar, the masculine and the feminine principle, God the Father with Goddess Mother. Like we were speaking before about how ancient indigenous peoples used to think that these were the god and the goddess making love in the sky when you have an eclipse. They're joining together. And that's a time to be respectful and respectfully look away and look inward and do your spiritual practice. It's said that the spiritual practice that you do on this day has multiplied results. And I'm getting goosebumps as I say this. It's a
Mm,
very powerful moment today with the new moon eclipse time, but also throughout the next 2 weeks to do your manifestation rituals, to do your letting go, because that's what the eclipse is asking for. And when you let go of the old, only then you have space for the new. It's like the weeding the garden, taking the weed
mm,
out so that some new seeds that are planted more consciously can grow. And this is an ongoing process. Like every moon cycle is an opportunity for this every day, every breath potentially. But now,
mm.
astrologically, we have a very favorable time for this reset.
Yeah, so we encourage you all to do your rituals and really leverage this like amazing potential that Irina you were just describing and the power of transformation and you know really truly believing in that you can do it and taking up space and feeling like this lioness or this lion rah. um yeah, so we really I mean we both feel it, and yeah, we would love for you to feel that too and to take today and the next 2 weeks to really chase after what is it that you want to transform and what is it that you want to manifest into your life. And um yeah, that kind of brought us initially to this experience that I had
Mm,
last week in like a pretty intense therapy session where I wanted to explore the theme of jealousy and a specific situation that happened with, at the time, he wasn't my partner yet, but the person who then later became my partner, where I saw him in a workshop with another woman, sexually, kind of emotionally, erotically engaged. Or at least I thought it was emotionally also a connection. Um, And yeah, when he then saw I was triggered and he came up to me and said, "What do you need from me?" I remained silent. I said nothing. I felt like his desire to be with this woman in this moment, I can't override that. It's like I don't, I, who am I to say I have needs and they might interfere with your needs and your plans? So I stayed silent and I told this to my therapist, and yeah, she said, let's work on this. This is amazing. And I was kind of catapulted back to my teenage years where I I was a social person, but I put on a mask and I realized that none of the issues that were really going on inside of my heart and my body, I felt I had no one to share anything with. So I pretended I was fine. I was this happy little kid with lots of friends, but deep down I felt very lonely, and scared. And yeah, and also like the moment when I got my period, I was more like, how can I hide this? I was on vacation with my dad and my brother, so no woman around, but I was also terrified of telling my mom, and we certainly did not celebrate. Um, and yeah, and even in that moment, I just didn't have access to what do I need in this moment? And I guess in that moment, I would have needed female support. As a teenager, I would have needed, yeah, maybe the trust in myself to open up, or the courage to open up, and maybe someone who's more available for me, or with whom I had a stronger connection.
Mm.
So yeah, I really notice a lot of like a pattern of not expressing my needs
Mm.
and not knowing what they are. And when I do know what they are, like thinking of the other people, it's like, oh, but if I express this need, how are they going to react? What are they going to say? Are they maybe going to reject me? Um, and yeah, so I built up this persona of I'm fine. Maybe I imagine many of you can resonate. I think especially in like female bodies, but also kind of in, I'm just reminded of, you know, like how people greet each other in like Western world, especially the United States. And it's like, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. It's just like this automatic reply, I'm fine,
Mm.
I'm good. And actually no one knows what's deeper underneath.
Mm.
And yeah, so this is really a moment, I guess, in the next 2 weeks also to, for me, really dive into what are my needs and what are my desires and express them and really transform into, yeah, this lioness that I can be in so many aspects of my life. But when it comes to my own needs, I feel like, yeah, I need a little bit more Leo energy, I think.
Oh, thanks for
Yeah.
saying that, love.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. And this is a very aligned time to work with that because, yeah, Leo energy is energy of like the fire of lust and desire. And it's Leo is ruled by the sun, and it's a very
Mm,
generous sign, extremely generous sign, gives a lot, and also wants to receive.
mm,
And I know it very well because I have a Leo moon, and also my
mm,
south node is in Leo. So right now, the astrology is very aligned with my own natal chart because the south node is in Leo. That means that the energy we are starting from, the baseline, is that of fiery depth of connection with each other,
mm.
soul to soul, give me your everything type of thing. Yeah, which is intense,
Yeah.
um, but it's a good foundation to be balanced with a north node of Aquarius, which is non-attachment, freedom for all. Um, a bit what you just said of like this Western attitude of, yeah, everything is fine, which it is. But if you go too much into that, it can kill the fire of your soul.
Mm,
And we came from similar like social backgrounds, you and I, and many of our listeners, I guess, where, yeah, like our needs and wants as children weren't so honored because of the society and school system. It was more based on performance and duty and obeying rules and whether it was like directly religious or just indirectly, this conception that's very prevalent in society,
Mm,
that having desires is like sinful, and the most important thing is to work hard and accomplish things, and
mm,
be a productive, responsible person in society. That can be healthy in some dose, but I think we had too much of it growing up.
yeah.
And I can totally relate to some things that you said, including like my first period, sort of taking care of it myself in hiding, because it was like not a common topic in society. It was a bit taboo. And I felt not exactly ashamed, but like this is just an annoying inconvenience that I need to take care of privately. So I didn't even tell
Mhm.
my mom. I just grabbed the hygienic products and I did everything on my own.
Mm,
And yeah, that's also the weight of like loneliness, like you were saying, because emotions and sexuality and many personal topics in our upbringing were taboo. We just learned to deal with it ourselves, and that
yeah.
cut us off from connection with others. And this is just not the reality we want to live in anymore, at least myself.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I've been
very true.
feeling,
Yeah, I said very true for me also. Yeah.
yeah. So I've been feeling that disconnect now that I'm back into like a European city. Now I'm in Zurich, Kay is in Berlin, and we were sharing just before recording that we feel a similar disconnect with this Western society, which is, yeah, like that mask of performance. And right now, like even with my housemates, like being asked, "How are you?" and feeling that the whole reply, the truth of it, will be uncomfortable and inconvenient.
Mm,
So I just don't say it. But people keep asking, but they're not always open for the real reply. So it's just
mm,
this autopilot asking of how are you? Um, and then you reply, all good. I've been doing that
mm,
recently. And then I
mm,
catch myself and I'm like, fuck, like I want to have relationships where there's truth, and also like in both sides, if the person asks, it's because they really want to know and they
mm,
have the time and space and capacity to listen.
mm.
Because otherwise, just stop, don't ask. Like, 'cause I don't want to say it's all good when it's not. And then
Yeah.
I reply, uh, so so. And then it feels a bit weird, like people sometimes can't take this because, yeah, again, like in modern society, there isn't always time and space to process. So the
Mm,
city has a different rhythm from the ones we were used to for the last years of our lives in Bali, in the jungle, in conscious
yeah.
spiritual communities. And yeah, like right now, going back to the desire and the want, I'm feeling this very strong desire arise in myself to be more truthful and to be in spaces where people are more truthful, and there's consciously spaces being carved out for this kind of depth of
Yeah.
being with
Yes.
everything, that, yeah, I just don't know if it's possible in a modern city. I'm finding it hard to navigate here. So really questioning myself, like, do I want to stay in the city?
Mm. Yeah, I totally understand that. And yeah, it's similar for me. Like, I'm in Berlin and I'm staying with two very close friends, not in the conscious community at all. So, yeah, I told them yesterday, like, oh, my next week, like, wow, it kind of feels already quite busy. And then I told them what I was planning, and then they were like, "You're not busy. Like, you're fine. You have the capacity to do like all of that and double." And I was like, and they said like, "Oh, when you were very capable of doing that when you had your like 9 to 5 or
Mhm.
9 to 7 job in corporate before." And then I was just reflecting and I said, yeah, I said to myself, like, I didn't argue with them because in a way they're also right, there is more capacity to do more and so on. But I also thought, wow, we are so conditioned to just keep going and
Mhm.
not really putting any pause into our day to day. It just keeps going. It's like, oh, you're not busy enough. Oh, wow, there's one day where you could actually rest. So you don't have anything to do, and that should be enough. And I'm like, wow, but like I feel the need to have several days of rest, especially if I'm traveling, even if it's just an hour between two cities. But yeah, I was just reminded of how different the community in my life was back here in Berlin versus what I believe is a more desirable lifestyle for myself, which includes community, which includes the truth, like you were saying, um, and also includes, hard work and focus and discipline. Yeah, I don't think that's a contradiction to want all of that. But work is not like, yeah, you're not a slave to your work. And like you actually have desires and you can change maybe the way your day looks based on what do I need today?
Mhm.
Do I need to focus and am I capable of focusing today and working maybe 7 hours? And then the next day you're like, oh, my body doesn't feel aligned and I feel resistance, so I will do my meditation practice. And I think that's where true liberation also lies in this choice that we have. Um, and I do believe, I mean, is it possible in a city? I think a big city like Berlin, I would say if you live in one big community house, it's possible. But otherwise, it's very hard because the distances are so big. And to get from, let's say you have a morning circle of 5 people every day, you would have to get up at 6 in the morning. Maybe some of you want that and like that anyways, but not everyone does because the distances are just so great. So there is also this like 3D issue of
Yeah,
distance. Um,
yeah,
yeah, so I totally understand. Um, yeah, I find it also challenging to be in a city where yes, there are a lot of conscious people and people who are healing and want to do that, but there are so many more who have never heard of this lifestyle,
yeah,
um, which makes it, yeah, harder
yeah.
to be around. Mm.
And as human beings, we're social animals. We need the physical closeness and the emotional closeness. And yeah, I'm realizing it here too. Like, uh, I live with people that are amazing, but don't always feel like we can have that depth of connection. And now I'm talking like with my partner of going and living together and communal living because it's like you're saying, if you just want to see a friend here in the city, it's normally at least half an hour of time just to
Yeah.
get there and half an hour back. And
Mm.
that already eats out a lot of time and energy.
Yeah.
And compared to the lives that we've had for the past few years that were like in smaller natural places with more community, I'm now realizing, okay, wow, that actually makes such a big difference. And the fact that if I feel like that I need support, I can reach out to someone from the community. And of
Yeah.
course, like you have therapists, you have, like also professional support, so to say, but beyond that, there is
Yeah.
like a social network, like a village. It takes a village, right?
Yeah.
Um, so for me, it's like I'm trying to find that space in the city, and to some extent I am, but also at the same time, uh, feeling that I'm becoming a bit depressed. That I'm losing the contact with my spark of desire, of excitement, of a
Mm.
reason to get up in the morning. That for me, for instance, also has a lot to do with nature.
Mm.
Like it really excites me to get up and see the sunrise or go to
Mm.
beach, or like in Copenhagen, I had this gym that was by the beach with sea view. And here is just my gym is just a normal gym, which is amazing. But like in comparison. And I see some trees from my window, but they're surrounded by big buildings.
Yeah, same for me right now.
So then also something interesting is that the guilt that comes with desire, right? Why
Mm,
owning one's desires can be difficult because of our upbringing in our families where the desires like seem to be in contradiction with other people's and with the rules in society. Like you
mm,
even had to raise your hand to go to the toilet in at school normally. And because people were very busy, even our parents normally you just had rules and there were schedules, and that's how most people were functioning. So now it's like, okay, what do I actually want? Like beyond all these things that I was taught I should do and I should want,
mm-hmm.
what turns me on for my life? And can I first acknowledge that to myself, share it with the world, and be guilt free? Because the part of me is like feeling like an entitled, privileged bitch, just for even wanting it and forgetting what I want. Like, there are so many people struggling out there. Why should I be special? Why should I uh,
Mm,
get what I want? But then when I don't allow myself to get it, I just don't feel good. So I cannot help anyone else.
yeah.
So allowing oneself to own the desire and go for one's desires and receive what we want, also so that we can then share from like our own radiance.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. I mean, my theory is also that we lost connection to our desires. And I think it's also connected to what we were just discussing of, hey, how are you? I'm fine. And the question is not authentic because
Mm,
generally people don't have the time or the desire to hear your real answer. And then you say, I'm fine. So, which is also not true. So you're losing touch with, someone's actually asking you how you are. And then it also takes a minute for you maybe to tune in. Wow, how am I really? Beyond like, okay, maybe someone, I don't know, stole my purse this morning. Okay, it's
mm,
quite obvious what emotion you might be feeling in that moment. But like, how are you really feeling? And it's not something that you can just discuss in like 2 minutes when you see each other in the corridor or something. So, but we've been so trained to say, I'm fine, either through conditioning, through society, through these like greetings that are just so
mm,
normal. Um, that yeah, I think it's difficult for most people to even state what is their desire. And when they do have some, there is like shame or guilt or fear of expressing them. Maybe the other person will feel threatened or envious. You
yeah,
might actually feel fear of what happens if I get this? Oh my God. Or what happens if I don't get it? Am I a
mm.
failure because I spoke up my desire and I didn't get it? Wow, now I'm a failure. Um, and like also the belief there's only one desire you can ever express, maybe.
Yeah,
And then if you don't get that, you're a failure. But yeah, there's just so much to work on, like getting access to your desires, all your needs. In my case, at the moment, that's very front of mind for me. What are those? And
yeah,
then having the courage to speak them out loud and also accept they might not happen. They might happen, and then you're like, oh shoot, what do I do now? Now I have all of this.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and yeah, like in terms of like my needs, for example, also the question is what if my needs clash with the other person's needs?
mhm,
What happens? Then we get into conflict potentially. So just that fear also is at least keeping me from expressing my
yeah,
needs. And I would say I definitely struggle also with knowing my desires and expressing them clearly.
yeah. It's a practice. It's truthfulness, being
Mm,
truth, being true to yourself, but also being open and curious and kind and loving.
mm-hmm.
And like you were saying, our needs and the line between needs and desires is very thin. Like for me, desires, like needs in a way, are desires that are more normalized. Because yeah, like I have a need to eat, but what do I eat? Like my body speaks to me through desire.
Mm,
Like I may be hungry, and a salad versus a steak, like one thing may satisfy me, but the other may not satisfy me.
yeah.
So like need and desire are intertwined in that way. Uh, so already like identifying the needs, identifying the desires, being able to tell, like it's an ongoing exercise of knowing yourself first,
Mhm.
and then observing your relationships and to what extent the needs and desires overlap, because you want some overlap. Some people speak of this 80-20 rule, and I
Yeah.
like to think of that like it's a good rule of thumb, that if most of the time your desires and needs overlap with the ones of the people around you and even the city, because we're also in relationship with our
Mhm.
environment. So right now I'm seeing like if my relationship with Zurich works out or not. You can be in love with someone, love them madly, and still it doesn't work out because
Yeah.
attraction is not the same as compatibility. So there's attraction, you invest in someone, this relationship with a city, with a person, you get to know yourself through the relationship. You ask all these questions like, what do I want? What do I need? How can I express that? It's not always going to match.
Mhm.
So also to have a strategy of something to do when it doesn't match. Uh, and yeah, that's already like quite some work. But when you learn that and it becomes your new default, it's so fucking liberating.
Mhm.
It is. And I feel that's the tipping point where I am at right now. Like I made this commitment in the last full moon ceremony. My main North Star is going to be truth. And I want to be able to enjoy the truth, whatever that is, even if that pushes people away from my life.
Mm.
I'm going to stay true to myself, because if I don't, then who else is going to do that? Like I cannot rely on other people to save me. I am my own protector.
Yes.
um I take care of myself so that I can also take care of others. But how can I set myself up for success and to feel well resourced? um I need to own my needs and desires for that, and take the brave, bold choice of speaking it out,
Mm.
even if that means that I may fail right now, because
Yeah.
the person or the environment doesn't connect with that need or desire of mine, and I need to look somewhere else, or reality will take me somewhere else,
Yeah.
then it's the surrender part of like the divine plan, right? Like,
Mm.
okay, I take rejection as divine redirection, and to be
I love
very
that.
humble. So actually
Mhm.
in owning your needs and desires and expressing them, there's also a lot of humility,
Mhm.
being like, hey, I cannot do that life on my own. I need other people.
Mm.
And you may say yes or you may say no. So yeah, you wanna help me out? And yeah, and then trusting that someone will at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, it's yeah, it's so liberating to hear you say that. Because otherwise, like, relationships will be inauthentic if you don't show up with your true self. But yeah, there is so much fear around speaking the truth because you might hurt the other person, they might not want to hear it. It's easier to not speak the truth sometimes, or your truth, because then you will blend in, no one will criticize you. Um, yeah, people will maybe not take notice, and it's easier. Is it more fulfilling? Hell no. Um, like,
Yeah.
will it lead your soul to slowly and constantly turn unhappy? And maybe, I mean, this is like a theory of a wild theory, but maybe not so untrue. Then people turn to alcohol
Yeah.
to like not feel that this feeling of it's so strange. Why am I feeling this way? Because people don't express themselves authentically anymore. And they're just eating up. all the emotions, not sharing them when they're asked, "How are you?" saying, "I'm fine." And yeah, it's like it's striking me. I picked up this book. Uh, like in Berlin, you see books on the street all the time. So I need a new book, and I saw this box of books, and there's one, and I was like, oh, I just read a pretty heavy book. I want something light. So there's a book that seems to be similar to 50 Shades of Grey, like similar vibes. I was like, okay, sure. So I started reading it, and it's a very easy read and fun. And the main character, this woman, there is actually this inner dialogue when she's speaking with her flatmate who has this super hot brother that she's in love with. So there you go. And has like feelings and whatever. Uh, but so when she's speaking to her flatmate, there is this dialogue, the external dialogue that's happening, where her flatmate asks her, "How are you? What happened to your parents?" And then you can see the inner dialogue. And she said, "Oh, my parents died in a car crash. I can't say that." And then you hear what she's actually saying is, "I'm fine," or something like that,
Mhm.
or like diverting the conversation. And
Yeah.
wow, I felt kind of triggered from the book, like from reading that. And I'm very close to putting this book down, so I will also not say what it's called and will not recommend it. But yeah, I was really feeling like, wow, writing this book that millions of people read, normalizing that, you're putting on this mask and this
Yeah.
facade and not letting anyone in on your pain
Yeah.
is like a desirable way of being. And it's so normal. And I think this book was written by a British or Scottish author or something like that. So again, like some cultures are even more
Yeah.
prone to that, to not expressing emotions than others. But where we live, it's really such a big problem. Um,
It
yeah.
is. And it's subtle. Like here, for instance, I'm noticing how many more people like take drugs recreationally and party a lot.
Mm,
And I used to do that when I was last living in the city. Because I left the city like in 2020, I was living in the city. I had my spiritual awakening, then I left. Uh, and now I'm back and I'm more like as a neutral observer and I see like how people do like things that seem fun or are probably fun, but sort of overdo it.
mm,
You can see people like are overdoing it because I
yeah,
see that they're feeling empty inside because I see that this
yeah,
trend, like you were saying, of just saying I'm fine all the time, slowly
mm,
like it's your soul away in a way, or
yeah,
it just puts layers on layers on layers. And that's funny you said the thing about the parents, that question, because for me, like my father committed suicide when I was 5. So to
mm,
this day, when people ask me about my parents,
mm,
I still struggle with the answer.
yeah, of
Because
course.
sometimes dropping the suicide bomb in the conversation, it's not gonna be something I want to deal with,
Yeah,
um,
of
because
course.
of the energy I can get from the other person. So sometimes, I divert, but I don't want that to be the rule. Like I want the close people to me in my life to be able to deal with that. And yesterday I also went for some like body work therapy, which was funny because I realized for how long my body had been craving like a
Mm,
massage and to have space held for me by a professional, because I do that for people
mhm,
all the time.
mhm,
And I went for this new therapist and it was an amazing choice. Like I was like, thank you, intuition, for leading me straight
mm,
right to the best place. Because the guy, he did some trigger point deep tissue release on me and my whole body was shaking. And then he asked me a few questions and he was like, you have so much pressure held inside of you. Like, what happened to you? How's
mm,
your childhood like? And I'm like, well, this and this and that, like having my father commit suicide, nobody really looking at it and the underlying reasons for it, and this huge taboo topic. and then chronic pain, and then, all the things that come with not looking at the deep emotional pain that
Mm,
sometimes is not even ours, but is sort of inherited or
mm,
intergenerational, transpersonal. It's in the society. And it's just so liberating to be able to be yourself with all that you carry. And
mhm,
now connected to that topic of like truth and suicide, we were also speaking of the death of Caroline Elliott, or Caroline Lovewell, who was the author of Existential Kink, this amazing book and technique that got Kay and I together. Like, we've been speaking about this
mm,
as a type of somatic meditation that helps you shine light on your shadows and enjoy
mm,
your unconscious patterns, enjoy the whole of human existence. And it's very effective. So, as a form of magic, Caroline used that to transform her life. She also, like, I actually found her because I was in chronic pain and struggling with suicidal ideation, which I had for most of my life since I was
mm,
a teenager. Um, and then I found her work and I started like binging everything that she was sharing, and I found her book and it was immensely helpful because she also had like an abusive, difficult childhood, with addiction, with a lot of emotional pain. And then she found this technique. She started doing it and she manifested like the dream relationship and a massive upgrade in work and finances. She started
mm,
traveling. She became famous. She got everything, the whole package of her desire.
mhm.
But now, like 6 years later, or I don't know how many years later, I think she became famous in 2020. Um, she kills herself because she was apparently she made a post just before, or short time, the month before dying, about how she was struggling financially, going through a divorce, being heartbroken, and how she realized she was so attached to the shiny results that she got with her
Mm,
magic and to her own desires that it was maybe too hard for her to go on without that. So like there's also a fine line. Like, it's great to have desire and to work for your desire, but to also be able to feel happy and content
yeah.
without that, and to always, I don't know, like, to always have something to work toward. Because what you just said of like, it's also scary to have a desire and achieve it, because then it's like, and then what? What's
Mhm,
the next step? What happens after? Will I lose my fire, my fuel? And
mm,
maybe you will. Like, this teacher who was super experienced and super inspiring for like thousands, maybe millions of people. Um, she still didn't make it like some other spiritual teachers uh, at a high level. And you're like, if they didn't make it, will I make it? You never
mhm,
know. You need to try. And for me, this was really an interesting reflection on, and also a reframing on like this desire as fuel, but also cultivating non-attachment equally, the importance of that, not associating your self-worth and your happiness to your desire.
mm,
And also reframing like suicidal ideation and this death wish as, I just want to be close to God. And
mm,
sometimes, or somehow, it can feel easier to feel close to God when everything's going well.
yeah.
But like cultivating that feeling of also being close to God when you're in rock bottom, so to say, or in a difficult moment,
Yeah.
um, is an antidote to always feel connected to something bigger than you, because otherwise the ego just, flops without something bigger.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Oof. Yeah, this is like something I just kind of watched from a distance a little bit because I
Mhm.
just got acquainted to her work, yeah, fairly recent this year, I would say. And yeah, I, in a way, appreciated the learnings from her suicide. And I think it's, Yeah, there's a lot of truth to what you shared. And yeah, at the same time, part of me was also judging it. So we
Mm,
discussed whether we want to bring it into the conversation today. Um, but yeah, I do think ultimately, probably, what's the purpose of a life in a way? And it doesn't
mm,
end when life ends. Like the purpose might continue. And I don't know much about her at all. I don't know if she considered herself a teacher. Um, if she did, then, why would she stop teaching even in her death, I guess?
mhm,
Um, so, and at the same time, of course, from a human perspective, it's like tragic that this person didn't see another way out. Yet, yeah, I feel conflicted about um, whether I think it's a good way to publicly, um, yeah, draw like conclusions, because ultimately we don't know.
mm,
Um, versus, wow, actually, she was a teacher all her life and it just doesn't stop. And I think perhaps that's what she would have wanted people to like analyze also her death, and yeah, use that for growth and for learning. And
mm,
yeah, I guess that's, yeah, both truths can potentially coexist.
mm.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
Thanks for
Um,
that alternative perspective. Something you just said something really important, which is like we cannot know for sure what was going on inside her.
mm,
And some people that were in her close circle were sharing that in her last days or weeks, she felt a bit like a disco ball. Like
mm,
she had taken on so much projection by being such a famous and successful teacher that she just probably felt this need to just perform, in that
mm,
capacity because that's what got her fame. And then if you go public, like she did actually, and that was very brave of her to be like, hey, I'm not that successful anymore at this point.
mm. Yeah.
um that feels like a huge public failure and humiliation. And yeah, like the more visibility you have, so Leo is about, yeah, visibility and courage, but then that comes with projection
Mm-hmm.
from other people, and that's actually a weight. Then you need, that's how I see it, and how some people from her close circle were also sort of stating it, that then you need a support network somehow.
Mm. Yeah.
Because if you're taking all that weight on your own, it can crush you. We're human.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely. And then, like, especially in this situation, but you can use this in any situation. My favorite friend, shame, comes in, It's like, wow, I've achieved my desires and I had told everyone this is what I wanted. And now actually I'm becoming less famous, or I'm becoming less, I don't know, wealthy, or my partner left me, or whatever it might be. And then, wow, there is, yeah, this shame that's created in our bodies and from our mind. It's like I couldn't possibly admit to this. Yet failure happens to all of us all the
Mhm.
time. Yet we just believe it's like impossible to talk about it.
Yeah.
And instead, what we prefer to do is put a mask on, pretend everything's fine, and move through life and just notice, like, day by day you become more unhappy in those kind of expressions.
Mm.
And then probably also not knowing how to express, like not knowing what's actually wrong, what's bothering me. Wow, I've never actually, not me, but I
Yeah.
imagine a lot of people have never truly expressed how they're feeling.
Yeah.
Um, so then I often go to, like, I don't know, women's circles or something, and there's also, especially in Berlin, I guess, people that have never been to these like
Mhm.
events before. And then, like, let's say an opening question might be, share your deepest desire or share your deepest secret or whatever it might be. Um, and then realize that, oh my God, I've never shared this with anyone. And I cannot believe I
Mhm.
shared this with a stranger. And I'm like, yeah, that. that is just so uncommon to share how you're really
Yeah,
feeling. Um,
yeah.
yeah, that sometimes it then feels easier to do it with a stranger than with the people you're closest with.
Yes, it can. It can. And I remember like how just saying in public that I wanted to be wealthy, that I wanted to be a millionaire, that I wanted to be famous, that I wanted to be a successful spiritual teacher was so edgy for me in the beginning. And even now I feel my heart's
Mm,
racing because I feel I'm no way closer, or I'm getting closer, but yeah, not at all where I would like to be. I feel I'm
mm,
behind. So just saying that feels like very vulnerable and even humiliating because my ego is like, you're behind. Um, but yeah, that's what it is, and that's the visibility of Leo as
mm,
well. Like, go for like have the courage to own your desire, and then the opposite sign, which is Aquarius, is like also be detached and let go. Um, and be like,
mhm,
hey, yeah, I really want this, and I will probably eventually get it, but I also don't want to base like my whole identity, sense of self, and
mm.
happiness on this because at some point it will go away too.
Yeah, yeah, whether you achieve it or not, like both might make you unhappy eventually if you are attached, to a specific outcome, then yeah. So I think practicing that is also an important skill, but that's maybe for next episode. But yeah, I really like going for your truth, going for like your desires,
Mhm.
expressing them loudly and clearly. Don't be ashamed of doing that. And it's easier said than done. I totally get that. If some of you are like, "Oh my God, how am I going to do that?" So I totally get that. It's not easy. Yet if we start small, I think it's entirely possible, especially in the next 2 weeks, to do exactly that. And I encourage all of you to do that. And I'm also committing to myself to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. It feels really
Thank,
good.
yeah. Thanks for saying that and for bringing the commitments back in. It turns me on, and the thing is, for me, like I love tuning into my own desire, but what I love the most, like my personal motivation, and I think it's also connected to a human thing, is to share it. And to
Mm.
like personally, I love helping people uncover their desires. So I
Mm.
need other people for that. I cannot just do it on my
Yeah.
own.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and yeah, I need people who are honest and committed. And that's one of the reasons I love talking with you so much because you remind me of also like how to be practical and committed about this. Like I really admire you for that. I'm really grateful
Thank you.
for that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Thank you for this conversation. Oof.
Yeah, that was quite a lot. And then, like, desire can be a mutually uplifting force versus getting lost in the other's
Mm-hmm.
desires.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, because I think we were saying it before the podcast, but we haven't said it so much here that, or you mentioned it before, that as women and spiritual, empathetic people, sensitive people in general, we may have been more conditioned to uh like help other people fulfill their desires, or pay more attention to other people's desires versus our own, so it can be easy to get lost in the
Mm.
strong will of someone else. um in our case, like especially male partners, because
Mm-hmm.
normally men were more trained to be like more assertive and more strong-willed
Mm-hmm.
somehow, or rewarded for it.
Mm.
And women were traditionally more rewarded for being uh, pleasers and mediators and
Yeah.
appeasers. And I was like, okay, how can I find balance in that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's a lot of food for thought, and definitely a great time to ponder all these questions. And really, like, the main question of this new moon eclipse is what feels most alive? What
Mm,
sets your heart on fire? What wants to be expressed and experienced through you?
mm,
Also beyond your ego, because the ego is not always going to be comfortable with the real charge of desire. Because yeah, that comes again with a lot of projections. Some people are going to judge you for even say what you want. They may call you an asshole. They may misunderstand you. Um, they may tell you you're wrong. But like deep down, we all know what we truly deeply want.
mm,
So just reflecting on that, and how can I allow, like, let go of everything that's on the way and allow more of that to come online through me.
mm.
That's quite some responsibility. I mean, that's the real responsibility, to be as alive as possible.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much agree. And
Whew.
yeah, can be a struggle. Truth is definitely a component of that as well. Desires. Mm.
Anything else?
Mm. I have a desire now to just
Yes.
speak my, yeah, to really like embody what we just talked about, That's like I feel it. Oof. That's
Nice.
like a need, a desire. Yeah. And not hide myself as someone else and speak my truth. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that. Me too. And to dig deeper also internally, in a ritual, also sitting with God, goddess, and be like, hey,
Hmm.
what do you want me to do? Because if I'm gonna submit to someone else's desires, let those be divine desires.
Yeah.
For that, I'm available. Um, so how can I do more of that, of submitting to the divine, and letting the divine energy flow through me? And yeah, I guess the next episode will be new moon in Virgo. So we will have more clarity on the vision
Hmm.
and the desire. And then Virgo is like very practical, down to earth list, to do list. So now, sort of, our homework is to get real clear on what we actually want.
Hmm.
Like, can I be happy in the city? Where, for me, for instance, like I want more clarity of on, like, do I really wanna, or can I really be happy if I find a job here and settle down? Like a part of me really wanted, and now I'm like, do I, like, do I still want that, or is it just what my ego was thinking I should want?
Mm. Oof. Ooh, I'm already looking forward to the next episode then. This
Yeah.
is such a juicy question. God, I could already talk about this now for like another hour probably.
Hmm.
So let's save it for the next one. But yeah, that is a really, really good question. I immediately thought of creating drama, which part of me loves to create drama, even though there's no reason to, just so I can like blame other people for
Yeah.
things. And then I'm like, wow, I don't actually feel it in my body, but my mind wants to create this drama. So it's the same, like, is your ego telling you you should do something, or is it actually your desire? That's a really good one to discuss. Wee.
Yeah, and for me, it's also learning a new way, because like when it's not the ego's will, when it's the divine will, so big self versus small self, you align with divine will, then everything becomes more effortless. It's like the Wu
Mm,
way.
mm,
So of course you still need some effort because we're still in the 3D matrix, whatever, but it's not just all on you. You're not just
yeah,
crushed by this unbearable weight of I need to make everything happen on my own, which is a lie.
yeah,
So like, how can I align more with that divine will so that I can serve a bigger purpose?
yeah.
So yeah, those are really great questions. The spirit word. do you want us to go? What do you want us to do?
Mm. Hmm. I'm sure we'll have the answer by next time.
Yeah, and then we came up with a to-do list.
Yes. Oh, as a German and Virgo, it's perfect.
I know, I know. And yeah,
And I
again,
guess a Swiss living in Switzerland, being in Virgo energy might also be like supercharging you.
yeah, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up because then I can be happy that I'm in Switzerland for Virgo season and I can plan here and maybe execute somewhere else, but
Yes. Will be
plan
the
here.
perfect place to plan. Try and go to the close to the German border so you get both of those energies.
Yes, I can. I can. It's been funny to also see like the difference in mentality between Swiss German people and German people because sometimes Germans here are accused of being too direct and straightforward.
Mm.
And I'm like, they're not. They're just efficient. But yeah,
Mm.
Swiss people sometimes have that thing of, for my taste, being exceedingly polite.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah,
Mm. Okay, interesting.
yeah.
Mm.
Which can be nice, like to be kind, but there's also such thing as overdoing it. So like, where's the balance between again like honesty and truth,
Of
but
course,
also being sweet and polite and
of
kind?
course. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Say, let's wrap up.
Yeah,
Lots of lots of stuff for next episode already.
yeah. So we all have
Super
homework.
excited.
Get clear on
Yes.
the desire, get clear on the vision, so that for our next episode, New Moon in Virgo,
Yeah.
which is gonna be around the 9th of September, I'm guessing. Uh,
Think so,
10th.
actually. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, we will do a to-do list together. You're all invited to come along with us for the ride, to write to us, comment, message us on social media. The email address, contact information is all somewhere around here, and we're always super happy to hear from you.
Totally.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you,
And
Kaya. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us.
enjoy the Leo season.
Let's go crazy and wild.
Oof.
See
Mm.
you very soon.